All right, this is the solving quadratics, completing the square video. Let me make this warm up bigger here. So they want you to convert this to standard form. That means multiply together. So x times x is x squared. X times 9 is 9x. And negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. So combining like terms, x squared and 9x minus 4x is 5x minus 36. So here's this multiplied together in standard form, x squared plus 5x minus 36. So when you see x plus 8 squared, it might be a good idea. We'll write that factor down twice. And then you have x times x is x squared. 8 times x is plus 8x. And 8 times x again, 8x. And 8 times 8 is 64. So if you combine like terms, you have x squared plus 16x plus 64. It should be a 64, not a 65. Slide 2 shows you how they complete the square. So step 1 is to move this constant term to the other side. So if this was minus 14, you add it. And then you take this b value divided by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is negative 5 squared is 25. Since I added 25 on the right, I have to add it on the left. And then factor, rewrite the left-hand side into x minus 5 squared. Take the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 25 is 5. This sign is a negative. And then take the square root of both sides. X minus 5 equals square root of 39, and x minus 5 equals negative square root of 39, and add 5 to both sides. So square root of 39 plus 5, or negative square root of 39 plus 5. So this one, let's go ahead and try. So the first thing we're going to do is add 44 to both sides. Get the equation editor here. Make this a little larger. X squared minus 12x equal 44. Then you do negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. Negative 6 squared equal 36. So we're going to add 36 to both sides. x squared minus 12x. Completing the square, we added 36 on the left, so if they add it on the right to balance the equation. And then this is a perfect square trinomial. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 36 is 6, and there's a minus sign there, so x minus 6 squared equals 80. And take the square root of both sides. X minus 6 is plus or minus square root of 80. And finally add 5 to both sides. So here the first step is add 13 to both sides. Then you're doing 6 divided by 2 equals 3. E squared is 9. And add 9 to both sides. And then perfect square trinomial, square root of r squared is r. Square root of 9 is 3. So r plus 3 squared. Take the square root of both sides. R plus 3 equals plus or minus. Oh. Square root of 22. And subtract 3 from both sides. R is negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 22. Example 3. I'm going to add 65 to both sides of the equation. Divide negative 2 by 2. then -1 squared. Is 1. Squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 65 plus 1. Make sure I did that in each problem. Yeah. Example 2, I added 9 to both sides. Example 1, I added 36 to both sides. Thought I skipped that step, but just making sure. And then factor this trinomial x minus 1 squared equals 66. Take the square root of both sides. And then add 1 to both sides. X is 1 plus or minus the square root of 66. Example 4, I'm going to add 67 to both sides. And divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So add 25 to both sides. Factor left here. A plus 5 squared equal 87 plus 5 would be 92. Take the square root of both sides. -5 plus or minus the square root of 92. So the square root method is to isolate anything squared and then take the square root. So first thing here would be to divide by 3. So 15 divided by 3 would be 5. Take the square root of both sides. So x minus 4 equal plus or minus square root of 5, add 5 to both sides, or 4 to both sides. So 4 plus or minus square root of 5. Take the square root of both sides here. 5x plus 1 equal square root of 25 is 5, so plus or minus 5. Let's separate this into two equations here. I don't know what just happened to my cursor here. There. So let's make this 5x plus 1 equal 5, or 5x plus 1 equal negative 5. So subtracting 1 in both equations, 5x equal 4, or 5x equal negative 6, and divide by 5 in both equations. X equal 4/5. Or x equal negative 6/5. Take the square root of both sides here. 7x plus 5 equal plus or minus square root of 10. Then subtract 5 from both sides. Negative 5 plus or minus square root of 10. Divide both sides by 7. So negative 5 plus or minus square root of 10 over 7. This is saying solve by the square root method here. This should say solve by completing the square or the square root method. You can't solve this one by square root method. This one you can't solve by square root method. You could actually factor this one. The only one you could do the square root method is for. The other three, you have to complete the square. So x squared minus 18x equal negative 80. And then complete the square. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. Negative 9 squared is 18 or 81. X squared minus 18x plus 81. So add 81 on the other side. Factor x minus 9 squared equal 1. Take the square root of both sides. It's minus 1. Let's separate that into two equations. X minus 9 equal 1, or x minus 9 negative 1. Solve each of those. X is 10, or x equal 8. Number 2, completing the square. Add 70. 20 divided by 2 is 10. And 10 squared, 100. Adding 100 to both sides of the equation. Factor the left. Take the square root of both sides. Excuse me. And last, subtract 10 from both sides. Excuse me. So number 3, you have to complete the square again. So first, add 99. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16. Completing the square. X minus 4 squared is 105, or 115. Take the square root of both sides. And finally add 4 both sides. Number 4, you can take the square root of both sides. And then add 9 to both sides. And then finally divide both sides by 8. And that's all 10 slides there. So this last direction should be solve by square root method or completing the square. 3 of them you have to complete the square. And 1 You could use a square root method. This one actually factors the original problem. If I factored it, factors of 80, they give me 18. So the other way you could solve this one is x minus 10 and x minus 8 equals 0. And notice if you did it that way, you could have got these two answers right after you factored 10 and 8.